Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another Codings Talk Nooner. I'm glad you're here because today we're stepping into a future that's already unfolding around us. We're talking about AI, digital inspection, and intelligent asset management, and how these forces are reshaping the very meaning of protective coatings. For decades, we've treated coatings as materials, as barriers, layers of protection, but that era is ending. Protective coatings are no longer just products that we apply. They're becoming part of intelligent infrastructure. They're connecting to sensors, they're feeding data into digital platforms, and they're helping us understand asset health in ways we simply couldn't before. And let's be honest, the timing couldn't be more critical. We're facing aging infrastructure and assets across every sector. We're also dealing with skilled labor shortages that stretch industrial painting contractors and maintenance teams thin, and expectations for performance, for reliability, and for documentation. Well, it keeps climbing higher every year. And that's why today's conversation matters. The future of coatings isn't just about formulations. It's about intelligence, it's about automation, and the digital tools that will help us do more with less while protecting the infrastructure that we so rely on. Let's talk about AI's expanding role in coatings and corrosion. This is where we start to see how artificial intelligence is already reshaping the work we do in the field and also in the shop. Today, AI is being used in three major ways: defect detection, pattern recognition, and predictive analytics. This means that AI isn't just crushing numbers. It's learning from thousands of inspection images, from coding records and environmental data sets. It's spotting things faster than we can, in many cases earlier than a human ever could. And we're already seeing real practical examples. Automated coating thickness verification is becoming more consistent and less prone to human error. Corrosion pattern prediction is helping owners understand where deterioration is likely to appear next. And environmental exposure modeling is giving us a clearer picture of how conditions, humidity, ultraviolet, chemical exposures, how they're going to impact the coating performance over time. So why does AI matter? Because it brings consistency, because it brings speed, and it helps eliminate the blind spots that even the best inspectors and protective coating specialists could ever find. It doesn't replace expertise, it amplifies it, it augments it. Now, I'd like to hear from you. What inspection or maintenance task would you most like to see automated? Feel free to drop your thoughts in the comments. And this is how we're going to get this conversation going. Now, let's talk about digital inspection tools changing the field. This is going to be where technology stops being theoretical and starts becoming part of everyday inspection work. Today's digital inspection ecosystem is built around a few major tools: high-resolution imaging, drone technology, robotic crawlers, and also digital gauges. Now, these just aren't gadgets. They're extensions of the coating inspector. They help the coating inspector see more, to reach more, and to document more with far greater consistency. And one of the biggest advancements is the rise of digital twins. A digital twin captures the entire protective coating story of an asset, its coating's history, the environmental exposure it's been subjected to, and the deterioration trends that are starting to emerge. Instead of flipping through old reports or relying on memory, you actually get a digital copy of the asset. And this provides an evolving model of the asset's condition. This leads to a major shift in our industry. We're moving from periodic inspection, and that's checking in every few years or if there's a certain event that occurs, to a continuous monitoring method. And this is where sensors, imaging tools, and digital platforms, they feed real-time data into the system. It's a completely different mindset. Instead of reacting to problems, we start anticipating them. And for inspectors, the benefits are real and immediate. You get better documentation accuracy, you get less rework and stronger decision support because the data is clearer and more consistent. Digital tools don't replace experience, they make your experience more powerful. Now, if you want to visualize how this works, here's a quick demonstration idea. Just walk through, basically think of a traditional inspection workflow where you're taking manual readings, you're handwriting notes, you're doing digital photos. They're going to be stored on your phone. Now, think about this going into a digital workflow where the readings are automatically synced, images are tagged to locations with all other type of relevant information, and then everything feeds into a unified platform. It's night and day. It's a big difference. Let's talk about intelligent asset management. The first big shift is integrating coding data directly into asset management platforms. Instead of a coding record living in PDFs or on spreadsheets or scattered in inspection reports, they become part of the same system that tracks mechanical integrity, the corrosion risk assessment, and the maintenance planning. When coding data flows into these platforms, it becomes actionable, not just archival. And this leads us straight to predictive maintenance. When enough historical data, environmental exposure information, inspection trends, best practices, industry standards, well, the system can actually schedule protective coding work before failure occurs. This could be maintenance painting or a total redo of a coding system. Just think of it, not after corrosion starts to show up, not because of an unplanned shutdown, but before that deterioration in corrosion or a shutdown, before it would even become an issue or a problem. And that's a completely different way of thinking about protective coating lifecycle management. As we see smart coatings come out, they're going to push this even further because we're already seeing early versions of embedded sensors that are capable of moisture detection, pH monitoring, and corrosion activity alerts. As these technologies mature, coatings won't just sit on the surface. They're going to communicate. They'll tell us when conditions change, when stress increases, and when an intervention is needed. This is the future. Coatings as active participants in asset health, not passive barriers anymore. They're becoming part of the intelligent layer of the asset. They're going to feed data. They're going to help support decisions, and they're going to help us extend the service life with fewer surprises and fewer emergency repairs. Now, I want to bring you into this conversation. How do you envision predictive coding maintenance? How would it change your operation and your workflow? Again, please drop your comments and your thoughts into the chat. Now, let's talk about what this means for inspectors and for owners. The first practical implication is new skill sets. Coatings inspectors protective coating specialists, they're stepping into a world where digital literacy, data interpretation, and smart sensor awareness, they're going to be as important as understanding what the surface preparation needs to be, what the coating application needs to be, or its fundamentals. And it's not about becoming an IT professional. It's about becoming comfortable with the digital smart tools that are going to support our craft in the future. And here's the real shift. AI and digital tools elevate technician credibility. They reduce guesswork. They strengthen documentation, and they give inspectors data-driven confidence in their decisions. When you combine field experience with digital intelligence, you get a level of accuracy and consistency that owners can trust. And this is why early adopters, those out there listening to this right now, become an early adopter, because you're going to gain a competitive advantage. You're going to have better reliability. You're going to be stronger in compliance. You're going to have cleaner, clearer records. Well, owners will embrace the digital coating inspectors and also the intelligent asset management systems, because they're going to get fewer surprises. They're going to get more predictability when it comes to maintenance cycles. And also contractors, industrial painting contractors who also adopt these tools, they're going to stand out immediately. They're going to look more organized. They're going to look future facing, modern, and highly capable to deal with any situation. Let's talk about the road ahead. One of the biggest shifts coming is autonomous inspection cycles that are triggered by coating sensor data. Think of it. Instead of waiting for scheduled inspections, the asset itself will initiate them. It could be moisture spikes, changes in pH, or early corrosion activity. They're automatically going to trigger anything from a drone flight to maybe even a robotic crawler to scan, or digital inspection sequence to have a technician do. The asset becomes self-aware enough to ask for attention before a problem would escalate. Next, you'll also see AI-assisted coating selection. It's going to become more of a standard practice. Exposure modeling, UV, humidity, chemical contacts, temperature cycling, all this is going to feed directly into the AI system, which is going to help recommend the optimal coating system for that specific environment and for that asset. Not a generic spec, not a best guess, a data-driven selection that's tailored and augmented by the protective coatings inspector or the engineer that's going to help meet the asset's real-world conditions and what the owner's looking to do with that asset. And this all leads to a fully integrated future. Digital ecosystems where coatings, sensors, and asset platforms, the infrastructure that we rely on, they're going to communicate seamlessly. The coating report, its condition, sensors provide environmental context. The asset, the infrastructure, it will interpret data and also schedule its own maintenance. Everything flows together. There won't be any silos. You're not going to have missing reports. And importantly, elimination of surprises. So this is a road ahead, a world where coatings aren't just applied. They participate, they inform, and they help us protect the critical infrastructure with intelligence, automation, and precision we've never had before. Now, here are some of my final thoughts on this topic. Everything that I talked about, from AI, digital inspection tools, intelligent asset management, it points to a single transformation. We're shifting from reactive maintenance to proactive protection, from guesswork to data, from isolated reports to connected ecosystems. Now, I want to go through some of the comments we have here. Looks like Kenneth, you are giving us some good ones here. Yes, AI is not going to replace experience and expertise. I'm in the third season of the Digital Revolution with Jim Kunkel. A lot of you might not know, in addition to being a protective coating specialist working in the protective coatings industry and also on the cathodic protection side, I also have a third year of a audio podcast where I talk about digital transformation, AI, and intelligent technologies. And when I interview guests, it is clear that AI will never totally replace humans. Yes, we will have to adapt. Yes, some roles and responsibilities and positions will be greatly impacted by AI. But the long-term aspect of AI is augmentation of the human. And Kenneth says decision support is a great place where AI can help. Perfect point on this, Kenneth. AI helps people arrive to decisions. It also can deal with our shortcomings when we make decisions. We try to gather as much information, and a lot of times there's information that's out there that we might not think that's real relevant. But an AI, by going through and sifting through that data and looking for patterns and correlation, might find things that are very actionable. So that's a great point. Kenneth says, before failure in the manufacturing industry, we run so much stuff to failure. This would save so much time and effort to know when failure is likely. Digital twin technology, creating a digital twin. Think of a superstructure, a big infrastructure, a pipeline, for example. Critical, important. Having a digital twin of that pipeline to be able to look at sensor data that's coming in, because we know we have micro environments, we have macro environments. One end of the pipeline can be completely different when it comes to environmental conditions on the other end of the pipeline. So many things and so many factors. So think of all that sensor data coming in from an intelligent coating system to cathodic protection systems to other type of sensors that are reporting information. To be able to run accelerated testing in the digital twin of that asset, to look for predictive aspects, look for things that can be analyzed, potential issues and problems that could be addressed. Predictability. That's what it's all about, is predictability. And do you see AI having, Kenneth Campbell, do you see AI having more prescriptive regulation platforms? I think when it comes to thinking of prescriptive, there is a good argument that AI will lead you to prescriptive. I think the thing that everyone wants to try to be is looking more in the aspect of the sustainability of the asset, the performance of the asset itself. So I believe as AI continues to evolve, we'll see that different elements of AI. It's not going to be one big AI system. Think of a human body, for example. We have a heart, we have a brain, we have major organs, lungs. They all perform different functions, but they have to work together to keep the human alive. That's where I see AI. I see different layers of AI doing different things. So there could be a part of it being prescriptive. There could be a lot of it being to help, again, arrive at decisions and supporting those decisions. Great question. So, everyone, I just want to say I thank you so much for this opportunity to have this conversation with you. And please like this broadcast. Also, share this broadcast with others, colleagues, industry friends. It doesn't matter if you're in protective coatings, cathodic protection, you're in the overall corrosion mitigation industries. If you're even in the AI industry or you're in the technology sector, this is an important aspect of looking at digital technologies and where things are going. So I want to thank you for being part of this conversation today. Great questions and great comments there. But also make sure that you have a good rest of your afternoon, your evening, or morning, no matter where in the world you're watching this broadcast. Thank you, everybody.